Well, now for the other great discovery of Sra Ovelgest Levy. We now have definite proof of how the Weans perished. For weeks, Sra Ovelgest Levy has been excavating a great temple not far from where he has now discovered the tomb of May C. Last week, he gave me, in all confidence, the intelligence he has now asked me to divulge. On the lintel of this temple, he has found this fragmentary glyph, which he translates as follows: snow, nor rain, nor gloom of night, their appointed rounds.
That is pretty obscure.
Well, Sra Bukong, it is incomplete. Some of the hieroglyphs are missing.
Their appointed rounds. What does that mean?
Well, first, you must realize, Sra Bukong, that the R and the W are readily interchangeable in both the Hittite and the Hivite languages. You will then admit this may be so in the ancient Wean language.
For the sake of argument.
Very well, then. Instead of their appointed rounds, the phrase may well mean their pointed wounds, may it not?
It might, but what about the rest of it?
Well, the word nor can be considered north, and the word gloom could be translated doom, and night, fright.
Then what have you got?
The tragic story of the end of the Weans. The north snow, the north rain, the north doom of fright, their pointed wounds. In other words, invaders from the north have annihilated the inhabitants.
That sounds pretty glib to me.
Not when you remember the talking disc of Weans. Let me recall those historic and prophetic words to you.
Weans knows what Austin's want. We all going to get it. And no damn Yankee from the north is going to tell us nothing.
Notice the obvious reference to the enemy, damn Yankee from the north. Oh, no, there's no question about it. North snow, north rain, doom of fright. Yes, the Weans perished by the wounds of the north.
But tell me this then, Srabolik. How did they have time to inscribe this account of their annihilation on a great marble temple before they were annihilated?
But that's the obvious part of it. We know that Enyaq was the most populous city in the great West Continent. And why? Because at the end it was bursting with refugees. One by one, the great cities fell to the doom of fright from the north. Chicago, Loose Angles or Ankles, Orleans, Pound Laundry. Enyaq, an island bastion, was the last to fall. Knowing the fate of the others, the Weans built this temple and inscribed upon its great lintel their fate, so that we, who came later, might understand what happened to them.
Yes, sounds reasonable. But there is one more question.
What is that?
We have read much in their scrolls of a city more important than any of those we have excavated.
Milltown.
Yes, Milltown. What about Milltown?
Our expeditions have searched and searched, but they have found no trace of a city called Milltown.
Strange. Exceeding strange.
Yes. I dare say we will never know anything more about the Weans, but we now know enough to evaluate them as a minor culture with a rudimentary religion devoted to a god named Oscar, who was worshipped by rocking and rolling. They enjoyed their brief moment in history, established their hegemony in the land of We by killing off the Aborigines. They evidently built their empire, such as it was, by the sword, and when the sword rusted, they died by another's, even as Egypt and Babylon and Greece and Rome, leaving behind them curious city mounds, a splendid tomb, and no music. Sic transit gloria Weans.
Thank you, Srabahan Bolek. And thanks also to our scientists, archaeologists, commentators, and announcers who have made possible this Report on the Weans, the greatest single event of this astrophysical year of 7956 A.D. This is Dinar Geb, speaking to you from the Great Hall of the Ethnical Museum of Antiquity at Kenya, returning you to the main studios of Radio Rhodesia.
The CBS Radio Workshop is produced and directed in Hollywood by William N. Robeson. Report on the Weans by Robert Nathan appears in the current issue of Harper's Magazine. The radio version was written by Mr. Robeson and Fran van Hartesveld. The scientists and commentators of 6,000 years from now included June Foray, Byron Kane, Dawes Butler, Edgar Barrier, Jay Novello, Joe Kearns, Joe DeSantis, and Hans Conrad. Next week from New York, the CBS Radio Workshop will present The Growth of Our Nation, the story of the development of America told in sound effects. Be with us then, won't you? Stay tuned for Suspense, which follows immediately over most of these same stations.